Today we will talk about jewelry from 1840 to 1860. The new wealth acquired by the middle classes around the middle of the century and the easy supply of precious metal guaranteed by the discovery of gold in California and Australia had a positive influence on the jewelry industry, which flourished in the second half of the century. In England, Queen Victoria became an important influence on fashion. Her jewels particular were carefully copied by the court and the rest of society. Intimate jewels of sentiment were in great favor. In France, Louis Napoleon gave to social life a new interest in luxury after the moderate reign of Louis Philippe. In 1851, in an attempt to galvanize French commerce, he sponsored the participation of French firms in the Great Exhibition and the Crystal Palace in London. Jewelry was well represented. The French exhibition triumphed and were compensated for their efforts by receiving numerous commissions. Louis Philippe's favorite jeweler excelled with two parures made for the Queen of Spain, in which the naturalistic inspiration was combined with a well-balanced structural design. In the 1840s, the world of nature, the Renaissance, and the Middle Ages continued to prove sources of inspiration. The influence of the medieval designs spread into England was originality as a characteristic of ornaments, in which the human figures, angels. Among all decorative motifs, snakes seem to have been the most favored in early Victorian England. Although serpents had been used for rings and bracelets since antiquity and continued to be in fashion throughout the 19th century, it was in the 1840s that they reached the peak of their popularity. The serpent as a decorative motif had a profound mythological significance in its symbolism connected with wisdom and eternity, in its ancestral power, and simply in its mysterious fascination. In 1854, the use of 9, 12, and 15 karat gold was made legal. A great deal of low karat gold jewelry was then produced at prices often low enough to compete with similar examples in gilt metal. Tiaras. The tiara, which appeared in the late 1830s, made of 3 sprays of flowers encircling the face rather than the head, continued in favor. Necklaces. Necklaces were usually short and worn around the neck rather than around the shoulders, and of floral design. The typical necklace of the 1840s was designed as a snake with the body of gold scale like Lincoln, the head enameled in royal blue and decorated with diamond frame motifs, and the eyes set with cabochon rubies. Less expensive examples had the body of gold scale Lincoln, studded with turquoises. Often very naturalistic in design, these serpents were usually decorated with a heart-shaped pendant or locket suspended from the jaw. Other necklaces assumed the form of gem-set clusters connected by pearl or gold chains, or chains supporting several drop-shaped pendants set with colored stones within rich foliate borders. Brooches. Brooches tended to be large and of oval, oblong, or lozenge shape. The design were usually developed along the horizontal axis and often included 1, 2, or 3 pendants or tassels. In many cases, brooches were fitted with a loop so that they could be worn as pendants as well. In the late 1850s, brooches became smaller. Diamond spray brooches and large corsage ornament designed as a bouquet of flowers were in vogue in the 1840s and 1850s. Pendants. In the 1840s, the favorite pendant was the Croixler Genet design as a cross, sometimes entwined with a serpent, suspended from a heart, simply made of gold, or enameled with a set with pearls, turquoises, rubies, or other gems. Particularly attractive are those carved in garnet and are decorated with diamonds. Maltese crosses decorated with blue enamel or set with diamonds were also worn in the 1840s. Lockets, round and rather small in the 1840s and oval and larger in the 1850s, were frequently worn either on chain necklaces or velvet ribbons. The front was chased in gold or enameled and gem-set with insects or floral motifs. Bracelets. Bracelets were most acceptable ornament of the Romantic period and were worn in large numbers on each arm, often but not necessarily in pairs. During the day they were worn on the wrist, and at night on the short white evening gloves, or on the bare skin between the glove and the elbow. In the 1840s, they were sometimes the only form of ornament. The typical bracelet of the 1840s was designed as a serpent coiled around the wrist. Cheaper versions were made of gold scale like linking, sometimes set with turquoises, the clasp, and the shape of the snake head, enameled or gem set. Most expensive examples were made of hinged segments, enameled in royal blue and sprung so they could be worn without a clasp. The head and the joints were usually set with diamonds, occasionally with Hungarian opals, and the eyes were invariably set with cabochon rubies or garnets. Other hinged examples were entirely pavés set with turquoises. Rings. The fashion for snake jewelry also influenced ring design in the form of gold serpents coiled around the finger and decorated with gem-set eyes. Half-hoop rings continued to be widely produced, set with rubies, sapphires, emeralds, coral, and diamonds. Cluster rings often assumed very naturalistic form, particularly flower heads. In the 1850s, rings of romantic inspiration appeared, and today that's all we wanted to discuss. Stay tuned for future podcasts. Goodbye.